Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratniti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sarva Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanantam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. So we are back together to work on our resolution of doubts. If we have doubts, Q&A. We have lost an important questioner, doubter, that was David, but we have his backup, which is Claudio.
The universe always, Ishvara always provide.
Okay, tell us, my friend.
So I have Nididhyasana question on the practical level, because I'm in a moment where I understand I start to understand clearly that I'm not my sattvic mind and I'm not my tamasic mind. So when I'm tamasic, no, I recognize that I'm not this, and I'm not when I'm sattvic. So in these days, I feel tamasic very much so. And I was used to, I have still the vasana to meditate, maybe hours when I'm very tamasic, no? So there is a part of me that it pushed me, no, to meditate there, no, and try to go back to sattva, no, recreate sattvic mind. But at the same time, now the teachings are in my mind, and I start to look and say, "What? I'm not that. I'm not my mind. I'm not. I don't need to go back to sattva." No, so there is a little conflict. So maybe I need some practical advice, maybe because I'm a little bit confusing about that. I don't know if I'm doing right or doing wrong. In this situation, what I have to do, I have to go on to unfold the logic of Vedanta, or it's also good to meditate. Because there is somehow this fear inside me that says, but you need to do a little bit of sadhana because it helps, or you know, I a little bit confused.
Yeah.
Do I have to go to the logic and stay?
Yeah.
How you say it? On the logic, only on the logic, yeah. Or I have to do also a little bit of.
Okay, it is a very nice question, and when we find ourselves in a certain state, you know, it could be more rajasic, more sattvic, or tamasic. We have three options. One is to try to change that state, no? And then you said by concentration, meditation, or by exposing my mind to the teachings, or remembering the logic. Okay, so you have this option. You have the other option, which is trying to understand where that tamas, for example, is coming from. But all of that is only relevant if we find it appropriate to change that mental condition. Okay, so when we have a certain mental condition, the most fundamental thing is, do I need to change it, or it is all right that way? You understand? And then if by any chance, okay, and I am too tamasic, as you present your example, I'm too tamasic, oh my God, and I have many things to get done here. And and I need to convert some of this tamas into raja because I need to do something. So it is appropriate to remember that tamoguna that cannot be converted directly into sattva guna. Okay, so if we are too tamasic, we can be tamasic for different reasons. When I am ill, I feel tamasic, and I don't feel like doing things physically and often, not even intellectually. That's the example I was trying to present to David last time. Even intellectually, when I'm ill, I feel like, oh no, let me go and watch some movie or do something like that, because the body mind is a single organic, organism. So and so if I am tamasic, I cannot do physical, I cannot do much intellectual activity. And I could say, that's all right. I was looking forward to stay tamasic in my bed, because for whatsoever reason, I have been going. And now I say, okay, people do it in the world very often when they work 5, 6 days a week. And then they come to Sunday, they say, oh, I spend the entire Sunday flat on my bed watching some stupid things on TV. You understand? And the body is asking for thermos. Okay. So fundamentally, there is nothing wrong about the three energies. They are the building blocks of the universe and our physical body and subtle body and causal body. Yeah? And the question is, do you want to change your mental condition? Yes or no? And if it is yes, for what purpose? The purpose should never be like, oh no, it must be sattvic. No. Do you need sattva? No. Do you need to sleep? No. And then invite even more tamas. Maybe you need to sleep today at 2 p.m. You understand? To rest and rejuvenate your energy. So we have to all the time look into these different energies in accordance with what we want to accomplish, what we need to do. Okay. So there is nothing wrong with those three states, but if we have a mental condition which is dominate for tamas on a regular basis, that is not a good mental state, neither for our self-inquiry and self-knowledge, nor to accomplish things in the world, in samsara. In order to accomplish things in the world, we need some rajas, yeah, side by side with sattva. And in order to do our self-inquiry, we need a lot of sattva with a little bit of rajas and tamas. You understand? So it depends on what we want to accomplish. So if you were getting more tamas experience than you would wish for, and then you could first of all look and see, so where is this excess of tamas coming from? You understand? Where it comes from? It comes from a certain frustration, a certain fear, or a certain abstracted desire. You understand? So where is this tama come? It's coming from my physicality, or it's coming from something on the psychological level. You understand? You can see where is it coming, huh? And then you can say, okay, I understood where it is. It's coming from, and then you try to look into your thoughts, your emotions, the psychological condition. They say, okay, that's all right. I'm a little bit frustrated. I'm a little bit paralyzed for whatsoever reason, but now I need to act. Okay, and then you need to transform tamas into rajas. And usually a good way to transform tamas into rajas is to move the physical body. Okay, it's just jogging, jogging, swimming, running, exercising, doing yoga, asanas and so on. You just need to move to produce more rajas. You understand? And then you're gonna find yourself much more energetically more balanced. And then you can try to go back to your meditation or to your Vedantic study. Vedantic study and concentration or Vipassana or deep meditation, they are not in contradiction to one another. They are complementary. We say that Vipassana should be there to support our self-investigation, and the self-investigation is the Jnana Yoga aspect of Vedanta. So you can play with both, but as you have probably noticed already, so if your body mind is too tamasic, deep meditation becomes very difficult, and more often we just fall asleep because we are tamasic and we are trying to meditate or contemplate or and as you do that, the tamasic mind does what? It goes and takes a nap during meditation. It's very common. You can never suggest tamasic people to do meditation or upasana because the person is going to fall into sleep. You understand? So we need to move from tamas to rajas, and then from rajas we have a much better platform from which to cultivate more sattva. You understand? So and then you can do that either way. You can do that by meditating, going back to your practice of meditation, or you can go back to the scriptures. The scripture is going to produce sattva. You understand? And by jnana, by knowledge, by understanding, by remembering the teachings and so on, and then by understanding knowledge, your mind is going to become more sattvic. Or if you want, you can do your practice of discipline of the thoughts and sense, and objects and so on. So you can go either way, but the main thing is for you to try to understand where this excess of tamas is coming. Understand that there is fundamentally no wrong in none of these three energies. Okay, it's just a question of which energy I need right now. You understand? Okay, I need rajas. So if I need rajas, you have to cultivate the necessary rajas. Even for our self-inquiry, we need rajas because without energy we cannot process, or the study and contemplation and reflection and so on. So it's a balanced subtle body. It's a balanced intellect mind. With the three energies that they are there. It's not that we want to have 100% sattvic mind because it's not possible. It's not it's not part of the configuration of creation. Everything has the three energies playing among themselves and in constant modification as far as its proportions. Okay, and there is nothing wrong. It's just a question of balance them, regulating balance, and developing predominance of the guna that is required for your accomplishment. We say, as seekers of self-knowledge and moksha, our intermediary goal is to cultivate, to develop and maintain a certain sattvic environment, for most of the day. And it's not going to hurt to have more sattva, even if we have to have a lot of rajas to accomplish things in the world. So all our actions, all our activities are greatly enhanced if it's backed up by sattva. You understand? So you understand, Claudia, I'm trying to give you a big picture so that none of this is a problem. You just need to understand. You probably heard me say that a tamasic environment, if you live in a tamasic environment and then your body mind becomes tamasic, it is the most difficult, not as a wave of tamas that come and go, but if you see that it's starting settling in, that is the most difficult because it has to be broken. You understand? And then you have to call rajas for later on. It's the worst possible condition, even for success in the world, because tamasic people, they are tamasic, but the problem with tamasic, extremely tamasic people, is that in most cases they are tamasic, but these tamas do not really cancel their desires. You understand? So the desires remain there, but it does not have enough rajas to really go for it. And then the desire remains there. The mind is frustrated. You understand? Because I want things that I see in the TV, but somehow I don't want to work for anything. You understand? Now that condition, it's very conducive to violation of Dharma, because you want, but you don't want to work for, and then you start doing, ugly things. So in Brazil, we have the political class here is extremely tamasic, and they are used to have billions and billions of the Brazilian money here in the banks in Switzerland and other banks, because they don't want to work for it. They just want to find a way to be elected, and then they all like that, because they don't want to play by the rules, but yet they have a lot of desires. So it's a profession in Brazil for the tamasic people full of desires is to go into politics. They all get rich without really having to work. You understand? So you want to see the whole picture and understand that you don't want to settle in a body-mind condition dominated by tamas. If that is happening to you, if you feel that that's happening to you, and then you need to look and see where is the source of this development of tamas. You understand? Where is this coming from? And then you have to address it on that psychological level. Let me tell you a simple example. Lately, I have been having problems with my rental. I have a home that I left in Washington State, that I broke the home into 2 small apartments, and it's a property that had an apartment over the garage. So now I have 3 low-end tenants, and which have been helping me to pay my bills, to keep me above water for 6-7 years since I left the USA. So now, with the crisis of the COVID and all the rest that goes with it, I have a tenant not paying rent since a while. And now, on top of that, she got a lawyer, and she's taking me to court because she says that the apartment has mold, and the mold has affected her health. So, I mean, when I found myself with this Papa Karma, and then I have my friend who managed the thing there, we try to accommodate, and my mind got like, oh my God, and now this is real trouble. How am I gonna? And then there is a tendency for you to feel like, a little bit frustrated, and not really. And we made a choice not to look for a lawyer, and then this lawyer started threatening us, and now I'm ready to pay what they're asking to be done with this problem. It's gonna cost a lot of money for me, at least. You understand? So the mind can develop tamas, from external circumstance, and then and sometimes it's a little bit more difficult, or the mind may start thinking too much about the problem. I had to watch that as well. I say, oh my God, that problem again. So now I need to also control my thoughts, because I don't want to think about the trouble, because I feel troubled if I think about the trouble. Do you understand? So all of this is life hitting us, and we need to understand, and we need to settle things in our mind, and pay whatsoever, take a decision, pay our karma. And then in my case is to give this money to this woman. It's an old woman, and that's it. You understand? And then we move on. So you have to look to see if this tamas is coming from some adversities that are frustrating your mind as well. You understand?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. It's that now with some information, some knowledge that is more integrated in me, it's like that it's changing something, in the way I manage tamas. Before I was managing tamas in a way. Now it's like something is upgrading, how you say. And because I recognize, okay, I'm not that. So it's only, I think it's only the new knowledge that comes, and I have to organize it because something changed. But thank you. So I have only to organize the
you do
some
more work, and feel free to contact me as well. personally if you feel inclined, okay? Another thing, or in the group as well. Another thing is the ultimate teaching is that you are none of the three states. None of this is you. You are the light of consciousness in which these three mental conditions appear, okay? So if you go through a wave of tamas and that wave of tamas does not affect your self-knowledge, and then ultimately you don't need to even be bothered, you know, because your mind is tamasic. You know, I'm not my mind, howsoever condition it may be, and I'm peaceful in spite of having a tamasic mental condition. Okay, but in most cases, the self-knowledge has to be really hard and fast, as James likes to say, has to be really firm and hard and fast, so that it's not going to challenge one's conviction of self-knowledge. Otherwise, the person say, "Oh, I always associate my freedom with sattva. Now I'm tamasic since 2 days," and then maybe there is something wrong. I don't really know what I am. This is a problem, because then you're questioning your self-knowledge based on a mental condition, whereas your self-knowledge is the knowledge of that which is beyond the three mental conditions. You understand? So all of that has to be put in place. The most uncomfortable mental state is not tamasic. The tamasic is the most difficult because it's like a rock. It's very solid, and if it develops too much, one has trouble to move that energy into rajas. You understand? The most unpleasant, uncomfortable mental state is rajas. Rajas is the most stressful, the most agitating, and it is bad for the body-mind complex. But it's better to be rajasic than tamasic, because with rajas you can somehow slow down. But with tamas, you need to come off that solid ocean, rock ocean of tamas. Tamas, rock, meaning to say, it has no reflectivity, and then so I know from my own experience that tamas, although it is not conducive to self-improvement, you understand, or self-growth, or personal growth. Tamas, it does not help us to self-growth. Rajas helps us to self-growth, but rajas can be more painful than tamas, because tamas, you are just reduced to a condition similar to a cat maybe, or a vegetable. You're just like, so what, you're just like resting and digesting, as we say, and life is going, but you don't grow. With rajas, you're going to move around, and you're going to have the opportunity to grow. So just to give you a few other elements. Hey, look who is here. Let's clap for Karen. Karen, hey. Hi, Karen. We are glad to know that you are still in our Vedanta boat.
I know. I had internet troubles. I haven't been able to come the last couple, and then my internet was down this morning, and I just called my internet company. He's been having me do all this stuff, and it came back up. So
nice, mumukshutva, huh? Amazing,
yeah.
mumukshutva. We doubt your mumukshutva here, né? How you say? Shame on us, shame on me.
Well, I won't be here in a couple weeks. So I'm going to Italy in a couple weeks. So
wow, where?
Yeah,
you got to visit Claudio?
I wish. We're going to Venice, and Tuscany and Florence.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice, beautiful trip. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Good
I'm
food.
not far from Tuscany.
Oh, you're not far?
Not far.
Oh, I don't know the name of the place we're going. Our son and
I am in
his wife.
Assisi. I suggest
You're
you
in
to
a-
come also in Assisi. I don't know if you know where the city of San Francis.
Oh, you're
Very
in
beautiful.
St. Francis?
Yeah, I don't know how you tell the saint, the one who talks to animals.
I see.
It's San Francis. It's called San
Francis?
Francis. San Francis from Assisi. Assisi. I don't know how you say in English.
Oh, okay. Assisi is the name of your city?
Assisi. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Very beautiful. Very beautiful.
It's a very touristic, very famous, very cultured, and
Okay.
yeah, it's very beautiful there. Central part
Yeah,
of Italy.
exactly in the center.
Well, I don't know if we'll be there, but
Yeah, of course.
we'll see. We
course.
already have kind of just 2.5 weeks. So
Good.
yeah.
Okie dokie. In that, also, any other question regarding? We had a question from Claudio's contribution regarding the gunas. Anything else? Okay, then let's move on into our desire for freedom. Page 30.
I don't know. I don't have my book here.
I think it's
36.
36. Karen,
Page 36. Yeah.
Page 36. Desire for freedom, mumukshutva, is also a consequence of developing discrimination upon realizing that liberation offers a more lasting satisfaction than the pursuit of worldly gains. We make moksha our primary goal. Our values become realigned with this goal once it is made clear. Okay, so this is a way to look into self-knowledge and moksha without all that kind of firework of transcendence and states and so on. It says that mumukshutva, it depends on development of several other qualifications, among them the discrimination, of course. You can never come to develop this intense desire for self-knowledge, to know your true nature, unless you discriminate on several other denser levels, beginning from the objects, which objects they really brings me closer to my goal, and which objects are going to bring me down and farther away from my goal, and we were talking before, one of our goals or intermediary goals is to develop a more clear, contemplative, and scientific mental condition, because we need it for our self-inquiry. So we have these different qualifications that they combine, they are going to support this other qualification that's called a desire for self-knowledge. Now, this desire is above all other desires. No, so I want this more than anything else. And why I want this more than anything else? Because I came to a point of maturity in which I understand, oh my God, all success I have had in the world is still not satisfying me. I'm still empty-handed. I still feel like there is something. And now somehow I heard that self-knowledge and only self-knowledge is going to solve this problem. And they'll say, okay, let's give it a try. And then this self-knowledge begins because of a base of maturity, meaning to say discrimination and dispassion that goes with discrimination, dispassion towards the world. And then I begin disconnecting from the world, connecting to the scriptures on self-knowledge. And then in that process, this desire for self-knowledge, I want to know, it grows and grows and grows, and it's based on discrimination and the dispassion, of course. So, and then we realize that this self-knowledge offers a more lasting satisfaction than worldly object, worldly gains of objects. So this is a sentence that it could have been directly from Paramarthanand, or it may have the signature of Ramji as well, but Paramarthanand often puts things more or less like that. What is self-knowledge? What is moksha? Okay, is to live a much happier life. So Swami Paramarthanand is not ever going to say, oh, it is a transcendental happiness or ecstasy or bliss. No, it's going to say it's a resolution of the mind in a way that you're going to be happier and much more satisfied in spite of all the adversity. I'm saying that because Vedanta is a family of teachings, and some elements, some aspects of Vedanta presents a language which is very much mystical, which gives us the impression that moksha is an eternal ecstasy or bliss, And Swami Paramarthanand and also James often presents it with some more lasting satisfaction, a more lasting peace, It's a true peace, a true satisfaction, but it's not the ecstasy, the transcendental ecstasy that we have read many times in those books, that Ramji sometimes refers as spiritual. I should not say that word, because you know what I mean, Lynn? He says it openly, spiritual pornography of those big words describing the ecstasy which are beyond orgasms and so on, So I don't want to upset anybody in the yoga world over there. So we don't call it spiritual pornography. So we have to cancel this word. But it is just a lasting satisfaction, much more lasting satisfaction than the success we gain by accomplishing our samsaric goals. And then moksha becomes our most important goal, our primary goal. The other goals are going to be around it, okay? And our life is going to be reorganized around our primary goal, and then the other goals are going to be moving around as well. We cannot just abandon everything. We cannot run to India. We cannot look for a cave. It's better we stay put with our karma, and but we make this desire for self-knowledge and moksha grow, and it grows only to the extent that we develop certain qualifications, which translates as maturity, the understanding that only self-knowledge will really resolve this human problem at its root. You understand? Because once you know you know that you are not subject to change, and whatsoever change may happen in the field, in samsara, in the world, in the dharma field, is not going to affect you in your true fundamental free and independent nature as consciousness. So it's easy for us to understand that this knowledge is the only remedy, okay? But it has to be gradually growing this understanding until we are really clear that this is my goal in this lifetime, and I want to accomplish it before I lose this physical body. Then there is an analogy here from Swami Paramarthanand that says, if a child is holding a five rupees note, let's say, I would say if a child is holding 2 5 rupee notes, and some adult comes and offers him 100 rupees note, the child will say, I have 2 notes of 5. Somebody's giving me 1 note of 100, and I'm not a fool. I'm not going to give away my 2 for 1. Okay? The child is going to think in those terms. Why? Because it does not have yet the understanding, the understanding of the value of money. They don't know the difference between 5 and 100. Okay, he has not grown to understand that. Only later on he will understand the value of 100 and the value of 2 5 rupees note. And then he would be happy to make the exchange, but only later on when he understood the value of this node. So similarly, with Viveka, we come to see, Viveka is going to allow us to understand the difference between a 5 or 2 rupees notes and 1 of 100. The same Viveka is going to allow us to discriminate between 100 of samsaric goals and accomplish or success, and one single success or accomplishment, which is self-knowledge. And then people say, okay, you're going to have to exchange it. You're going to have to give me all these pursuits in samsara and all these things you will work for, and take only one pursuit. So I'm going to give you 100 pursuits for exchange of one pursuit. And the Guru is going to say, yes, you have to trade your 100 other pursuits for this one single pursuit. And then if the disciple is not really mature, he say, no, I mean, I find much more advantage, in holding my 100 pursuit than just go for one pursuit, So it requires great discrimination, great maturity, to the point that we say, okay, I understood these 100 pursuits. Even if I succeed, they will never really satisfy. But if I really accomplish this pursuit, which is based on understanding of my true nature, it's far more valuable than 100 pursuits gained in samsara. Okay, the same logic like a child, no? So this desire is necessary to give us the motivation and commitment to our self-inquiry until it's fully assimilated, resulting in liberation for the individual. Intelligent living based on Karma Yoga naturally leads to development of Viveka, Vairagya, and disciplines. Intelligent living is a disciplined life in which the sixfold disciplines are being observed, okay? It's going to help us to be a better Karma Yogi and develop the qualifications which are necessary for the further development of mumukshutva. Mumukshutva is to say, okay, I will take one accomplishment as my central accomplishment, and all these 100 other accomplishments, I'm going to reduce it to only 10, and those 10 are the ones really necessary for my living. Why to have more than what is necessary for my living? You understand? But if I want to keep the other 100 accomplishment projects, and then I want to have the desire for moksha is not going to be an intense desire because it is split among many other desires, okay? And that closes the topic on desire for self-knowledge. And if any one of you have something to say, to ask, or to contribute, please.
Arlindo, I was just thinking again and again, we come back to values and alignment of your values and really taking the time to talk with yourself about what's number one, just values, values, values.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a different word, a different language, but it's the same thing. I need to see what of these pursuits, are really valuable. We are now, I mean, I want moksha, but, I want to have a better home. I want to have a better car, a better jeans, a better job, better. So, we need to see the value for self-knowledge has to be huge for this to work. And we don't lie about that, you understand? So exposing our minds to the teachings of Vedanta, it's going to help us to develop certain qualifications and maturity. But for it to really fructify as self-knowledge, this value for self-recognition, self-knowledge, needs to be intense. That's why I say intense or burning desire for self-knowledge. It's a value. Value and desire can be seen as synonymous in this case. So we have the next topic here. We talked before about the 4Ds. No? We saw discrimination, dispassion, and here we are looking about the sixfold discipline. Okay, discipline in Vedanta on the traditional lines. No? This presentation of qualifications. It's presented with six different aspects that need to be disciplined. So one is the control of the mind. Someone, yeah. For example, I was telling you, Coach, it did not really affect me much, but I could see how the mind can be a problem. Okay, so when I began having this problem, and this woman got a lawyer to sue me, yeah? and then that would go off my mind, and then I was good, I was happy. And then that would come to my mind. I would say, oh no, I don't want this thought. I want to remove this thought. I want to remove. And then I have to say, how are we going to remove this thought? I say, oh, I have to remember that doesn't matter. Nothing can really affect me, you understand? But I could see the mind being frustrated by having to deal with a problem, that is a costly problem, okay? And the mind was not happy, but at the same time, I had to apply a certain knowledge more than once to cut off that thought. You understand? Control of the thoughts, control of the mind. Somehow, you just say, forget it, leave them alone. I'm going to deal with this problem, but I don't want to anticipate. I don't want to be preoccupied with this problem. You understand? Preoccupation is horrible. Huh? I say, no, forget it. Nothing that is happening is going to really affect me. And then the mind is again in resolution. So Mark has fallen off. Let's see. Okay, he's coming back. Control of mind. We all know we have good thoughts, we have bad thoughts. So the good thoughts are positive thoughts, and this could take us to another conversation, which is, oh yes, I want to develop a positive mind. Huh? A positive mind is definitely better than a negative mind, right? But what we want is an intelligent mind. It's a mind that can discriminate on a moment to moment, and a mind that learns that it should not think all the time mechanically, automatically, compulsively. You understand? So I want a mind that is going to jump and process, these thoughts and contacts, when it is really necessary. Yeah? But if it's not necessary, no. So what, for example, that problem, I remember when I go to sleep in the beginning, and then I remember that problem. So in the night, there's nothing I can do. Why the mind has to think about the problem? Which is going to disturb my sleep, And then you have to really, tell your mind, oh, no preoccupation here. I want to go to sleep. You understand? So the mind should be an instrument to think about things, because we were designed to respond to stimulus coming from the Dharma field. You understand? But you don't want to become a parrot. How you say parrot? Parrot? Huh?
Puppet? Do you mean puppet?
No. The papagallo. Parrot.
Papagallo.
Papagallo. I have so many there in my land. Many. Flying wild. So control of mind, we know. Control of senses, Dhamma. So control of the senses is very important. We know that Ishvara is going to connect our sense organs to its proper objects. Well, naturally, but the mind is what is going to pay attention to one thing or the other. So the mind should not be paying attention to everything. You understand? When you have an extrovert mind, you are paying attention to everything. Sometimes I wonder, I have my best companion with me, and she has a mind that is paying attention to everything. And a lot of the time to things that have no relevance at all, So if it has relevant, and then let's allow our sense to connect, because it's relevant. You understand? But if you don't regulate your sense, it's going to be connecting to irrelevant things all the time and making a story, making a conversation. You understand? And I mean, another thing to control is the speech, as we know. The speech should be mostly used for communication, not for gibberish, right? Because otherwise, if we talk too much, the value of our words also diminish. You understand? But if we talk less and we talk relevant, important things, necessary things. So control of sense, we need to control. We don't want our sense to be, paying attention, because the sense just are going to how you say, to look around. But if you don't really pay attention to it, because you are the intellect, you are the mind. So the mind is going to look through the sense organs and it's going to decide what to pay attention. And it says, no, I don't need to pay attention to any of this. Okay, I want to be in peace now. There's nothing really relevant for my attention here. So we need to be able to control the mind as the thoughts that come from within, the thoughts that come from our causal body, and the sense that they're going to hook up with the object outside with producing the thoughts of the object. I don't want to think all the time. Do you like to think all the time, Karen? No. Why? Because silence is peace. Thought is not going to really contradict one's peace, but it has to be regulated and used when it's really necessary, not like, compulsively. So we have to control the senses as well. And we have to have the ability to withdraw from sense objects, uparana, because the mind is going to pay attention to certain objects. And sometimes that it becomes obsessed with certain objects. And then it does not, it's called attachment. The mind pay attention to certain sense object and then gets attached to it, becomes obsessed to it. I remember when I was 15, 16, I fell in love with my first girlfriend. Her name was Teresa. I will never forget Teresa, the first love of my life. And my mind was so obsessed with Teresa that I used to think about Teresa all the time, all the time, all the time. So this is called obsession, So there is only one obsession that is good, is to think about the self as your very free, independent nature, full, whole, and complete nature. Why? Because this is an obsession that's going to take you beyond all obsessions, all attachments, but it's a good attachment to begin with. That's why you hear sometimes James saying, this desire has to become almost like an obsession. And I often say that as well, and it often works that way. You want to know the truth, understand? And then you are really totally focused. So this is something that you don't need to have the power to withdraw, because you want to be obsessed with the knowledge in regards to your true self until the knowledge is assimilated, and then there is no question of desire anymore. The desire is only a desire for certainty of self-knowledge. It becomes big, intense, mumukshvatava, it becomes an obsession, and then once I know it, and I know it for good, and then there is no question of desire, there is no question of obsession. Desire has served its purpose. The obsession has served its purpose. As Shemaya says, we need to begin by disconnecting from the world of objects and connecting to the scriptures that have the power to reveal your full, whole, and complete nature. And then once this knowledge is revealed and it is clear, and it's hard and fast. And then there is no question of connecting, disconnecting anymore. I have arrived to my final goal, my final accomplishment, certainty in respect to what I really am. You understand? So the other one in this line of disciplines is titiksha. Titiksha is forbearance, the ability to deal with difficulties of life without losing your balance, losing your discrimination, and start giving tantrums and kicking and screaming because you want what you want. The diksha is the ability to say, as a receiver of your Parabhada karma. The diksha refers to one aspect of our personality as the receiver of our Parabhada karma. The other aspect, as we often talk, is the one who is going to offer a response in relationship to this input, this stimulus. Okay, so we have the karta, the one who is going to respond, and the bhokta, the one who will receive. Titiksha goes for the receiver, the bhokta. This aspect of our personality is to be really strong. Why? Because life is not always good. Life is made of pleasure and pain, pleasure and pain, pleasure and pain. And we need to know how to receive adversities without losing our discrimination, our balance. You understand? Otherwise, we go like that, downward, like a whirlpool, So we keep going like that. If we lose discrimination, and then we're gonna go down. Okay, so we need to develop this ability to stay strong. Swami Paramarthanand often presents it as a mental, emotional strength. I love it. You understand? It's a mental, emotional. Why? Because we receive our Parabhada karma through the mind. The mind, which is our mental personality, where we feel, we experience emotion, we experience the Parabhada karma, and we have a feeling associated with it. I either like it, I like it a lot, I am indifferent, I don't like it, or I hate it. So when we receive our Parabhada karma, and it is really something that we do not like or we hate it, we need titiksha, we need forbearance, so that we receive it without losing our balance. We need to be strong, mental, emotional strength. Yeah? Mental, emotional strength to deal with the crisis like we are living. The world is in crisis. So we have to have a strong mind, mentally, psychologically, and of course, the subtle body is one single organism. The intellect has to be strong as well, and never lose our balance. Keep in mind that our trust is put in the Lord as far as our Parabhada comes manifesting, you understand? And whatsoever the Lord brings, we know that it's in perfect order with the totality, you understand? Even if it is a terminal disease, for example. Just imagine you have a terminal disease, you're gonna die, and you say, yes, Lord, I have total trust in this intelligent order, and I accept my time has come, you understand? Even if I'm younger, even if I still have certain desires, but I am not only a yani, but I have developed the Karma Yoga spirit, which is fundamental, which is the base for the Jnana Yoga. The ability to have forbearance, to titiksha, accept things that I wish was not coming to me with a mental, emotional, intellectual strength or balance. He often says balance. Okay. Okay, that goes for titiksha, forbearance. And then he presents, then Shankara presents this faith in the teachings and the teacher as well. And this discipline, the sixfold discipline, is where he puts the faith. And it's interesting that is in there. Because even if you have these other mental control of the senses, your receiver is strong, your karta is also strong and sharp. So you are kind of good and your sense organs are being properly regulated. But suppose you have a mind that does not trust the scriptures, you understand? And then that mind is going to say what? I will figure it out by myself. I will figure it out on my own, okay? And this is a big mistake. It's very, very rarely it helps, you know? It may help here and there, but usually it helps not when the person rejects help. It's when the person does not really need help and help does not come into place. Such was the case of Ramana Maharaj. He did never reject help. It was just that he has got all the help in previous births, and then he gets his self-knowledge. There was no question of developing trust in the teacher or scriptures. He was a kid and so on. But otherwise, if we come in contact with the scriptures and we reject for one reason or another, we are just making our life much more difficult. Okay, because this faith in the teachings that comes from Ishvara is the easiest way to develop this extensive, complete self-knowledge or spiritual knowledge, I like to put, because it's a spiritual knowledge, because it's not only about Satya, but it's about Mithya, Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagat, and everything involved in this triad, okay? So you have the complete knowledge, you know how to live as a Jiva, and you know how to live fundamentally as your platform of I am limitless, unmanifest consciousness, yeah, that appears as the Jiva. So this complete knowledge, it's a lot of the time is lacking in people. This, to my observation, people who somehow stumble in self-recognition, but never got into the scripture knowledge because they rejected. And there are a lot of people in the spiritual world that have rejected, and I'm not going to extend on this conversation, this lack of faith in the teachings, the teaching tradition. But my first teacher was a clear example of that. My first teacher was Osho Rajneesh. He was not really a spiritual teacher. He was an entry level, or what Swami Paramarthanand likes to present as an I would say initiating teacher, yeah, initiating teacher. So he's just giving me some meditation and say, okay, meditate that you're gonna grow, okay, and do therapy, okay. So Osho Rajneesh was not interested to bring God into the equation, and he rejected the Vedas totally, absolutely, because somehow he was a rebel and he was against tradition. He went to the extent to play a joke, which was to call his devotees sannyasis and put us dressed as a sannyasi in orange or red color. And while he was saying, you don't need to do any sixfold disciplines, you go and you enjoy all pleasures of the world and do some therapy and 1 hour meditation or 2 hour meditations a day. So, and he called us sannyas just to upset the tradition. There was something about him that wants to reject the tradition and accuse the tradition for some reasons, often as people who understand that there are some corruptions or some things which are not genuine in it. Every structure has some politics and there is some room for a little, but you have to look into the essence of these teachings, you understand? And not the entire, and then the people like Osho Rajneesh, okay, I am the teacher and I have the modern teaching for the modern man and so on. You see it all over the place. And if you reject these teachings, you understand, coming from the scriptures, coming from Ishvara, if you reject it, and then your knowledge is, most of the case, will never be a complete self-knowledge because your ego is still there fighting with Ishvara, saying like, I know it better. I know it better. I don't believe that Ishvara has revealed this body of self-knowledge, right? But I am the one who is going to teach Ishvara lesson, present my own teaching. The ego survives because it was not really gradually neutralized or diminished, by bringing Ishvara into the equation and understand the relationship between Jiva and Ishvara and the laws governing the Dhamma field. You guys understand that? That goes for faith in the teacher and the teaching. And why the teacher as well? Because in Vedanta, the teaching and the teacher, they come in one single package. And we know why. Because it's very difficult to study the scriptures without help. You understand? So we need to find a teacher who is familiarized, someone who is honest, someone who is competent enough to help me to understand the meaning behind these teachings. You understand? So we need to have a help. To study alone is another trick, almost invariably. Studying Vedanta, studying the Upanishads alone is another trick of the ego that says, I can do it on my own. I accept only half of the equation here. I accept the scriptures, but I reject the teacher. You understand? It's the ego. The ego has surrendered to the scripture, but did not surrender to the teacher. And almost invariably, it's people who want academic knowledge. They say, no, this single guru, teacher, no. I'm an intellectual. I'm a scholar. I'm going to study this on my own. Okay. So faith in the teaching and the teacher is called Shraddha, and it's fundamental. I often present it as a pre-qualification together with humility and patience, okay? And then the number 6 is samadhana, which is concentration, focus, one-pointedness, which can be further developed with the practice of meditation, okay? So you bring the mind to concentrate, to develop the ability to stay focused on one object of a meditation. And why we want to do that? Because a jumping mind is never going to be successful, not even in the world. You understand? We need to have a focused mind who is constantly jump from one thought to another thought, to one sense object to another. It can never be successful. So our goal is self-knowledge. This desire for self-knowledge is going to take us to the Upanishads, and then there, the logic and the discrimination is very subtle, and the mind cannot be let free to jump from one branch to another branch of the samsara tree. You have to bring the mind and say, okay, we're going to stay here, and you have also a long-term goal. What is my long-term goal? It's moksha, it's freedom. So I have to keep my mind focused on my object of contemplation and meditation. And in my life, I need to keep the focus of my value, my ultimate value, where my mind is going, the direction of my life, This is the direction, that is my ultimate goal. I may have a lot of intermediary goals, spiritually wise. One of them is a contemplative, focused, scientific, clear mind. And my ultimate goal is self-knowledge and moksha. So we need a mind which is really clear and focused and one-pointed mind, So this is what it is. Oh, it's already 12:10. Control of the mind. Okay, shall we leave it for next Monday? I don't want to tire you. Karen, we had a very nice beginning today with the question of Claudio. I would suggest you to look, because it is about the three gunas, and it was a nice satsang.
Yes, I will look at it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So any other questions or something came up, Claudio, as we went through these 6 disciplines?
Yes, as always, a lot,
Yeah.
but
You're gonna work on it.
yes,
Okay.
but it's clear. I like it. It's always good to see it
Okay.
again and again.
Okay. Okay, my friends. So we meet again on Monday. I'm glad to see that Karen is within our boat and going through the oceans of samsara until we get on the other side. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, my dear friends. We meet again soon, Ishwara willing. Love you. See you soon. Okay?
Thank you.
Beijos.
Hey, thank
Kiss
you.
and hugs. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.